This is as groovy as it gets.
Oprah, Can You Hear Me? Oprah vs. Donald 2020 is a conversation by Julie Benetti and Susan Barbaro and a production of EI Alliance, copyright 2019. America is courtesy of New Threads off their new album, Felonious Wilma.
Hi, this is Julie and I'm here with Susan, and we have done a number of podcasts on many topics, yet this one is once again in the Oprah series. I was just sitting here thinking, if Oprah had a talk show on nowadays, here's my question to you, because I have an answer. Would you watch it? Would you watch Oprah on a talk show?
I don't. It would if it was the same stuff. I don't think so. Maybe if she recreated herself and did something different, maybe. I don't know. What's your answer?
Well, my answer is no. I wouldn't.
I could have read your mind. I should have said it.
Yet there's a reason, because I thought, okay, so Oprah, we just actually, I was looking around on YouTube or whatever, and I saw some excerpt from a speech she did for someone who's running for office, and it sounded very political. And I was kind of a little bit surprised, but not really. She went into the heritage of who she is, and of course, this is part of our Oprah versus Donald 2020 podcast, and even though she keeps saying, I'm not running, I'm not getting into the water, I just started to think, so if you are, let's take this on a tangent, if you're a celebrity and celebrities get watched and you don't have a show, I know she has her different other programs, I'm not going to mention them, you can watch them, you can watch old YouTube postings, yet it's interesting because I think, of course, I go in the day and age of who has talk shows on now, and if those are even important to people, yet where would Oprah be watched? And if Oprah's nature and part of her career has been being watched because she's on a talk show and she's delivering messages and information and inspiring people, where would you watch her? You would watch her on a run for the presidency.
This is true.
Because it's not a talk show. It's kind of the circuit that President Donald Trump goes out on. Because
Ronald Reagan, came from that too as well. Right. And other celebrities. I just don't know what else she would do. And it's not my job to figure that out. If I put myself in that energy of doing everything, what do you do next? That's why the whole idea of her doing podcasts just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, why would you go there? And then what would she, from what I hear, she's talking about dating, and she's talking about whether having sex on the first date, whether she agrees with it or not. And I'm thinking, after you sit and have a conversation with T.D. Jakes, the Dalai Lama, Wayne Dyer, you think of all these people, Nelson Mandela, and then you want to talk about whether it's okay to have sex on the first date or not? That's such a ridiculous topic. Because, you don't know who you're talking to. What does that mean? What if someone's been friends for 50 years and they fell in love and, they decided to go out or versus someone that you just, they met on Tinder or something.
Right.
How can you have that conversation? To me, it's such a banal, blah conversation. Like, who cares?
Well, the funny thing about that is that that's not really not that I'm going to determine where all the quote-unquote younger generation or millennials are. They're very mature. They're way beyond that.
Right.
It's in the day and age where they know, they're in families, with different parents, with different, they're in all different kind of situations and relationships. And, there are quote-unquote parents out there who aren't married.
Isn't that what they made the show Modern Family on?
Right, exactly. So kind of like to bring it back to that old kind of issue is really not where everyone is at. And the phenomenal thing is that, a lot of the younger people are also very politically active.
Yes, they are.
And so if you want to really hit, the younger people, and you want to be continually watched, because that's what the definition of what your whatever character is, maybe out there in the world of celebrity, in the world out there, how does that happen? What is the most important thing going on that everyone's been talking about? You go on any of those news stations, and they're still talking about President Trump and will he be impeached, and Russia. I know.
Not minimizing it, but it's like, okay, the point's been made. What's he really doing? That's what I always ask.
Right.
What's really going on? If I mean, like,
because there's important stuff, but there's other stuff going on, and you never hear the other stuff.
No.
It's always the same thing. And I think in a funny way, you know, when you want to talk about, because we did a podcast on the energy of familiarity, I mean, all those people who, you know, are making multi-million dollars on their talk shows and hosting news, you know, fake news or not, are talking about the same thing every night. How boring is that? And I
think that's why podcasts are getting more popular, because people are getting sick of hearing the same people saying the same thing, and there's nothing new.
Yet not podcasts where the same thing is being talked about. And there is a distinctive voice that everybody has, and yours moves and grows, and, you know, it's indicative. I mean, you can't help but not see some of the public speeches, talks, or, you know, award acceptances that Oprah has presented, and they are very strongly political and inspiring and empowering.
I will say one thing, and I'm not going to go into it because I could get in trouble, but I'm just going to ask, is she being herself? That's the only thing I'm going to say. Because I hear it, because when you played that for me, the last one, I'm like, wow, that is very politically driven, which is fine. But my question is she being herself? And I have to say, and I'm not going to go into it, because she was not herself.
Right.
She was playing a role.
Right.
And if she continues to play a role, my suggestion is get out now.
Right.
Because Trump he sees it. He already sees her.
He's waiting watching for competition.
Yeah.
He wants it. Yeah.
And if she is going in, and maybe that's why she's on the fence. And God, that's a terrible place to be, because if you're on the fence and every time we talk about that, right, fitting in, you start to walk that walk, and you do what you think people need you to do, you lose it. You completely lose it. And so that's going to be a hard place for her to be. She doesn't know who to be right now, and Trump smells it. He's like, you know, he is the ultimate predator. But that doesn't mean you can't outsmart the ultimate predator. You just have to be very clear.
Right.
And that's a little bit of, you know, tweaking and whatever. It can be done. But if you walk in the lamb, you know, you're not going to make it. So that's interesting, because, you know, of course we open up and we see things that we're supposed to see.
Right.
You know, I don't ever look at anything for Oprah. I'm never on social media. I'm never on anything. But when I do open it up, and it's like,
me too,
right there, and seeing that, she's going to have to really, and, you know, who better to do it but the person that's had every guru working on her. She's been with every guru. Everyone quotes her.
And she's done all the work of reading their books. Right?
And taking it in and being enlightened. Well, then who are you? And it's almost, I think that's what we're seeing with some of the stuff that she's reverting back to another version of Oprah. I mean, I got to really, for her, it's going to be heartbreaking. She's got to go home and feel that sense. I know when I do something, you know, when we talk about it working with horses, I come back and it's like I did this, like, oh, I want to get back out there, because I'm like, wait a minute, I know better. I need to get more of me in there, and I'm learning in a whole different arena, literally. Right. But, you know, you got to be in that space, and she's got to be able to find who she is. And you know what? I'm going to say it, that if she doesn't do it this way, she's stuck in that same circle of gurus and Weight Watchers and everything else. She's going to get caught back going in that same circle unless she says, this is it.
And this is, you know, this is really funny, because it's like you're doing, this is, what are we going to call this, the Oprah Ultimatum? Because really, in actuality, I mean, what pivotal point
we all
to project from right here.
Right.
And the reason why I started this, because I just sat here and I thought, okay, well, because I just turned on and we saw that YouTube video, and I said, all right, what's coming here? What am I getting? And I just thought, if she had a talk show, would I watch it now? No.
Well,
and the reason why that was important is because there's a multitude of crap out there, yet that's not what it's about.
Well, she shouldn't be there anymore. She's done that. It's us. We talk about energetic invocations. We did that work.
Right.
For us to have 1,000 podcasts back on energetic invocations might help other people, but that's not where we are.
Right.
And our focus has to be where we are.
Right.
And people can get to where we are very easily by doing the work,
right,
and then moving forward. But is she constantly worried about with the people, and so she's going to keep going back to them and keep saying the same thing in a different way? Because the millennials are a different group of people. These kids are different. My son said to me, I didn't grow up like you did, Mom. And he's right. Good, bad, and different, however, it doesn't matter. He didn't grow up like I did. So when you asked the question, I was going to interrupt when you said, would you watch Oprah's talk show? Whether I would or not, I'm in my 50s. So people my age would have a response. But that's the same people she's been working with for 20, 30 years.
I know.
So these new kids that are coming up, they want something new. They're smart. They're getting things, and they want to move forward with something new. And if you go back into this, like you said, the same garbage, if you're going to sit and say, it's okay to sleep on the first date, exactly like you said, people are living in families where boyfriends are moving in, and they're not married, and they don't ever get married.
Right.
So their whole idea of, again, I'm going to say the modern family, I mean, they also have same-sex parents.
Right.
So to sit here and talk about back in the, it's old. So either she stays with the same people she's been working with, and I gotta say, for me, it would kill me.
And exactly. She just said, running for the presidency, which wasn't that one of her statements would kill her. And the funny part about that, and it's not funny, but the interesting part about that is what you just said is wanting something new. And isn't that revolutionary for the new thing being all of you and present as you, and not getting up and speaking and telling the people what you think they're going to want to hear, so they like you, or they're on board, or they stay familiar. Who cares if you pivot a little bit and you really go into, you should care, you really go into the main vibration of who you are and be all of you here and be that model.
And that is what classic, they talk about clothing, and they say this the classics. The classics never go out of style. I'm no fashion plate, my kids, but I always gravitate to the classics. I'm never like the most trendy style make. I just go to the classics, because the classics are everlasting. And when you are your authentic self, you can relate to everybody, because you're not changing who you are or what you say or how you present yourself. You're just who you are.
And you know what I'll say is, terminology sometimes gets bastardized. I'll use that word because, authenticity and authentic self. And we're talking about the real hearty, raw vibration of you.
Right.
And no one else can be that. That's why you're here. That's who you are. And I'm not going to coin it as authentic. I'm not going to coin it as anything, because what happens is, people on LinkedIn take the term, and now they're leaders talking about authenticity.
Right. Yet you and I always have this conversation of vocabulary.
Yes.
Say what vocabulary.
And it's hard because we're communicating in English, and we're having this conversation, and it's very energized, and yet we're really just saying the simplicity. Even though it's so intense of just being you, all of you, and being that model. And nobody can touch you. When you're all of you. Nobody can touch you. And so in that sense, would I watch, the Oprah show? And the Oprah show was awesome back in the day. It was great. It was
because we were different people back then.
Yes.
And so to talk to people that were there, if you're still resonating with those same people, that means they've never changed.
Right.
So that's why you still watch it and you want more of it, because you never did the work to change. You're still the same person of 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
I'm not that same person.
Neither am I. And your cells aren't either. I know we're not going back into the biology, but everything's changing.
Right.
Everything's changing.
And again, so, I would think, like you said, it's great. It's the ultimatum.
Right.
Because if she doesn't step into who she is, and sometimes it's when you do the things we talked about, the unfamiliar, you do the thing that is the most out of your comfort zone.
Right.
And that is where you really, good, bad, whether she wins or not, I would think in her mind is secondary. The truth is, how do I be myself? Well, this is going to push her. And and now all the stuff that she's learned, it can't become rhetoric. It has to become part of who she is. And I would think, this is why I think she's going to run, because if she doesn't do it, who are you? Go back 20 years and you're going to have the old Oprah show of, I don't know.
Well, this is, insane and wild, because the new is to just be you.
Right, I know. Well, that's what it should be for a lot of people. It's not. It's still fitting in. And who does everybody want me to be? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? We say whatever we want. And whether people agree or disagree, I respect other people's opinions. I'm saying, and it's not, what comes to me through this, when we go in the space of energy, it's like I hear something and I say it. And it's not, I don't even, whose words are they? I take full credit for it. It's something I hear and I say it because it resonates with me. Whether you agree or disagree, again, I can't be caught in that.
Right.
Because if I'm caught in that, then I turn that higher self voice off.
Exactly.
But yet I know the truth of it. It's like, it's like put blinders on, the ostrich that sticks its head in the sand. Okay.
Right.
But how do you live that way? So...
And the relevant thing here too is that this was a video on YouTube, and she's out there stumping for people. She's out there being political. Oprah's being political.
Yeah.
And I want to say that really raw phrase, if it walks like a duck.
Yeah.
It's like she's out there being political.
Yeah.
So be all of it, and that doesn't mean then take the little message or learn a little bit. Look at our book and see what Trump was doing. And there's a whole switch off that he's created in the actual political aspect. I'm not political.
Yeah.
We're not talking about politics.
No.
We're talking about energy. We're talking about being.
Right.
We're talking about presence.
And actually, the book that we put together, the Donald Trump book, is about energy and science for politics. But it was actually he was a great example to use, that you don't have to use it for politics. That's why, he was out there and everyone was talking about him and no one could figure it out. So it was a good exercise for us. Yet it's not about politics. It's about life, and it's about moving and creating and doing all of that. And that's really what it's about, is being who you are, finding out who you are. And when you start getting pulled off track, how do you stay in that space of who you are? And that's what he does really well. And it's whether you like him or not, I disagree with a hell of a lot of stuff he does.
Right. And one of the brilliant,
not what we're talking about.
Exactly. One of the brilliant vibrations is he's president and he goes out and does some stumping. For what? After he becomes president, he goes out, because that's where the vibration is, and that's where he senses the energy, and that's what's familiar to him, and that gives him like a rah-rah for what he's doing and empowers him.
So you can't beat that by trying to undo it for him. You can't beat that by trying to do that, doing the same thing. You can only beat that by being able to be who you are. And I'm going to use the word authentic because I don't know what other word to use, to be your own raw space of who you are. I mean, we always change too, so it's you're always growing with it, and it's always going to be challenging. And
you have to be true to what your sensation of what you're expressing, because if she's out there stumping and participating in politics, or on that fine line of politics and who she is as a personality, hello?
She can't go back to who she was 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
And if she does, then...
And what is the truth of why would she be there? I mean, I have no idea. I don't know Oprah. This is, we're having a conversation. We're in the energy. Yet, why would she be there? For the same reasons, why was Donald Trump in that environment?
Right.
In that area? She's, has she put out a committee? Does she do it? That's what, blah, blah, blah. Supposedly politicians do. One from Massachusetts is doing that. I'm not mentioning any names. Yet, again, she's in with ducks. She doesn't have to be a duck, but, if she's in there doing it, there must be something. So what I'm trying to get at is, there must be something she hasn't told herself yet. But she's expressing to people, no, but this isn't, the Sally Fields moment, you love me.
Right.
Oh, please tell me more that you want me to run. No, that's not how it works. To go out there and win like Donald Trump, you just state it clearly, and that's the focus.
And you can't win as a victim.
Exactly.
You can't be a victim and win, because if you play the victim, you're your own. You have to overcome yourself, and it's easy to. So, I mean, I'll be honest. Like when you think of some of the other people that are starting to throw their hats in, it's like, I don't see authenticity in any of it. It's all right. We have to put on this persona. All right, now it's like it just doesn't work.
And the funny thing is, too, I always wonder, not really, because I'm not political, but, you do kind of wonder when you hear all these people throwing their hat in the ring, is someone telling them to do it?
Yeah.
And if someone's telling them to do it, do they really want to do it?
So, yeah.
And that's really important because that gets down to the vibration and the core and the essence of who you are.
Right.
And that's where she has to go.
Right. But wouldn't she be there? After all the work she's done, she should be there, right?
Mm-hmm. Is that the ultimatum?
Thank you for listening to this production from EI Alliance. Check out our Amazon authors pages for books and podcasts, along with our Donald Trump and Oprah books for this series. Find great music by New Threads on iTunes, Spotify, and on newthreads.us.